Main topic today is marriage, because I wanted to talk each Sunday with something that meant something to me, something to do with my faith, because that's really what makes me who I am, and that's the most important thing to me. But it's hard to come up with subjects about this, so I'm still trying to figure that out. If you have comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. This week has been a really thought-provoking week for me about marriage. I've seen and watched, I got married very young. I was 16. My husband was 17. We've been married over 40 years. We are blessed. We've had good times. We've had bad times. But we have 5 healthy adult children going on 12 grandchildren. So we're very blessed. But through the years, I've seen so many of my friends' marriages fall apart, disintegrate. And it always just made me sad. But for some reason, a friend's marriage has disintegrated kind of publicly this week. And it's really affected me. So it's made me think about marriage and think about marriages that survive and marriages that don't survive and all kinds of things. So just been on my heart, and I wanted to see what my peeps thought, what encouraging things you had to share and what things you struggled with. So this is an open thing. The first thing I want to talk about is I looked up statistics because it was on my heart. It's what I was thinking about this time. Divorce statistics. The marriage statistic, let's see, here's my notes. The marriage rate in the United States is 6.5%. That means 6.5 people out of every 1,000 are married. That is, the latest figures was 2014 that they got this. I guess they're doing the census again. In 1990, it was 9.8. So the percentage of Americans that are married is much lower now, which is interesting. The divorce rate has also been falling. Over the last 15 years, both the marriage rate and the divorce rate in America have been falling. The divorce rate is now 3.2%, which is kind of an interesting factoid that means nothing, because there's all these different ways of doing statistics. Even looking at those statistics, it doesn't look like we have much of a problem, but the reality is that half of all marriages eventually end in divorce, and that's really, really sad to me. For the marriages that end in divorce, what is the average length of a marriage in America? The average length of a marriage in America that ends in divorce is 7 years. 41% of first marriages end in divorce. 60% of second marriages end in divorce. And 73% of third and further marriages end in divorce. What does that tell you? Maybe the divorce is not the people involved. If you can't get it right one time, or for some reason, it takes 2 people. This has also been brought to my mind this week. No matter how much you want your marriage to last and how much dedication you put into it and commitment you put into it, the other person chooses to walk away, there's really nothing you can do. There just really isn't. You can try, and I wish you well, and I'll pray for you. But it does take both people committed. But interesting, look at these statistics again. 41% of first marriages, 60% of second marriages, 73% of third marriages. What that says to me is that quit looking for the answer in another person. Okay? Because if you think, well, this is just not the right person, I'm going to get a divorce, and then later I'm going to find another person, and that's going to be the right person, the odds are against you. Anything else to say to anybody else? I just figure that the percentage of failed marriages goes up with future marriages. It's very sad. And again, America has the highest percentage of divorce in the world. Not something that I would like for us to be known for, but it is what it is. Okay, now here's something interesting. Another thing that came to me this week. Did you know that there are a lot of benefits to marriage that we don't think of? In fact, there's whole articles written about the financial benefits of marriage. Isn't that interesting? Number one benefit of marriage, according to this one, let's see, where did I find this? I've got the links. I'll put the links in below. It's called The Link, The Surprising Benefits to Being Married. Number one, married people are overall, of course, this is statistics, of course, it's not everybody, are richer. Isn't that interesting? You can do better financially just by virtue of being married. Kind of makes sense. Two people, common goal, should do a little better. Number 2 benefit of being married is the tax advantages. That's interesting. But our tax code, in fact, there's been arguments about that, but our tax code has actually been shown to favor married couples. That's interesting. The third biggest benefit, financial benefit for being married, is health insurance. There are benefits to purchasing health insurance if you're married versus if you're single. Number 4, this was interesting to me. The average married person claims to be less stressed than the average single person. Now that's interesting because, you would think that marriage can bring its own form of stress, and then marriage brings children and they bring lots of stress. But overall, the married people report being less stressed than single people. Number 5, it is more common for a single person to participate in risky behavior than a married person. So less risky behavior for the married people. Here's 2 more. This was really interesting. And in average, of course, is statistics, so we're talking averages. A married person has a better chance of coming through surgery with a positive result. In other words, if a single person and a married person with the same medical history have the same surgery, the married person automatically has a better predicted outcome. And it's interesting, huh? Health benefits. Also, a married person is almost 3 times as likely to survive cancer as a single person. Isn't that interesting? What does that have to do with it? I have no idea. There's got to be something in there, but I have no idea. So, those are the benefits to marriage. Now, I want to see something else. This other thing came to me this week, and I thought this was it's probably been around for years and nobody's seen it, but this is a poem that's been passed around the internet for a long time. And as I was going through this with my friend this week and helping with her and reading with her and studying with her, this poem came into my inbox, and I thought, at first I was offended because the name of the poem is Marriage is Ugly. And I thought, oh, that's terrible. But the more I read it, I want to share it with you. And you tell me if you think that this is an appropriate poem. Marriage is ugly. I'm sure those who are married here will agree. You see the absolute worst in someone. You see them when they're mad, sad, stubborn, mean, and when they're so unlovable, they make you want to scream. But that is all so worth it, because you also get to see them when they're laughing so hard that tears run down their face, when they can't help but make those weird snorting noises that they only make in front of you. Again, this is a poem. It's also the getting stressed out about silly little things that are not important, or eating the culinary delights they cook every evening for your tea. You can tell it's a UK poem, right? You get to see the side of them that no one else does, and it's not always pretty. It's the strange faces they pull only at you and no one else. It's the bad breath and the farting. Let's be real here, people. It's the sniffing of the top lip, the silly walks and the random dances. It's all the anger that's not directed at you but feels so like it. It's the joy and the happy memory making. Marriage isn't a beautiful thing, but it's amazing. It's knowing that someone loves you so much they won't leave you, no matter how nasty you are to them. It's having someone have your back no matter what. It's fights over stupid things, like almost everything. But it's also those nights when you fall asleep in each other's arms, feeling like you'd never want to be anywhere else. It's the dirtiest, hardest, most rewarding job there is. Because at the end of the day, you get to climb into bed, not only with your best friend, but with the weirdest, most annoying, loyal, moodiest, loving, silliest, but perfect person you know. Marriage is not beautiful, but it's one mad and exciting roller coaster of a ride that we want to stay on forever. So what do you think? Marriage is not beautiful, marriage is ugly, or marriage is beautiful? I think the poem was pretty amazing. And it makes me grateful for what I have, and it makes me sad and wishing there was some way that I could help those who want this so much and don't have it. Not because of anything they've done, because someone else couldn't keep their promise. Someone else decided to walk away. I can't imagine that pain, but I have a very dear friend who is going through that right now. And I have another very dear friend who is a counselor. So if you are going through that kind of pain right now, you don't have to post anything publicly, but if you contact me privately, I would really like to put you in touch with my friend. She's a long married elder's wife who has been, we've known her since we were little, and she now lives way away from me, and I never see her, but she is also working as a counselor with single and married women, and I trust her with my life. So if you'd like someone to talk to about that kind of thing, please reach out. And if you just want to share with me, because I'm coming from this side of it, and I'm looking into what the pain my friend and other friends through the years have gone through, and I want to do something. I want to make you feel that you're not alone, and I don't really know how. So if you can help me, help my friends or others going through this, I'm open for advice. Because it makes me grateful for where I am, and it makes me very sad for others that wish they were here, and I wish I could make that easier for my friends. So I'm open. Tell me what you got for me, okay? And if you're married and you're happy, count your blessings. I'm serious. Literally, get down on your knees and thank God that you are with someone who wants to be with you. And if you're married and you're struggling, think really hard about walking away, because it may be the only answer for you. But you may be jumping from the frying pan into the fire, because it doesn't get better, okay? It doesn't. It gets harder and harder alone. And if you're not married, don't let this depress you. Just make sure before you make that commitment that this is somebody you would choose as the parent to your future children. And I'll tell you my old-fashioned advice to all the young boys that were in my house. I had 4 young sons, 4 young men, and I had a lot of their friends in and out of the house. We always had the football team over. And my advice to them was to always see how that girl treats her mama. And to the girls that were in my house, see how that boy treats his mama. Because typically, how that young man treats his mother is how he's going to treat you in about 20 years. So there's my advice for the day. But again, give me your advice. I'd really like to hear it.